It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Wednesday, November 19th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Morning rain, sunshine in the afternoon, high 45. Tonight and overnight, partly cloudy, low 36. And then Thursday, sunshine, high 48. If you're walking out the door with us right now, 38 and cloudy in New Rochelle up in Westchester County. 34 with snow showers in Hewlett over in New Jersey. And it's 39 and cloudy right outside our Midtown studios.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
All right, so when will we actually see what's in those Epstein files? A disturbing report details how many New Yorkers are going hungry. A mom speaks out after her 2 boys are shot in Newark. Mayor-elect Mamdani wants you to keep donating money to his cause. And she was so drunk that she had no idea she was driving on train tracks. All right, let's get into it at 5:01. No Senate Republicans blocking an attempt to force this vote on a resolution that would compel the release of documents and files related to Jeffrey Epstein. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer making good on his vow to force a vote on the resolution just hours after it passed through the House yesterday behind a near unanimous vote and a wave of support. Schumer arguing on the Senate floor that this should pass as soon as possible so people can get a sense of what's going on.
Senate has now passed the Epstein bill as soon as it comes over from the House.
President Trump talking about Jeffrey Epstein yesterday, calling him a sick pervert. He made the comment to an ABC News reporter who asked the question. He then went on to chide her for bringing up the subject of Epstein.
And what the Epstein is a Democrat hoax to try and get me not to be able to talk about the $21 trillion that I talked about today. It's a hoax.
The president claiming the reporter asked the question with anger and meanness in her voice.
As far as the Epstein files I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. I threw him out of my club many years ago because I thought he was a sick pervert. You know who does have? Bill Clinton. Larry Summers, who ran Harvard, was with him every single night, every single weekend. They lived together. They went to his island many times. I never did.
And there's so much surrounding the story. Then you have the Georgia Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's taken a lot of heat from the president over the last couple days. She was meeting with Epstein survivors ahead of the vote in the House yesterday, and she pushed back against the comments the president has made against her.
And he called me a traitor for standing with these women and refusing to take my name off the discharge petition. Let me tell you what a traitor is. A traitor is an American that serves foreign countries and themselves.
Slapping back at the president yesterday was Marjorie Taylor Greene as she held this press conference with victims of Epstein.
And I want to tell you that this only became possible today because the American people whom we serve as representatives here in Congress demanded that this vote happen.
And when you go into Midtown Manhattan, you just ask, us regular people what we think. Do we care? Do we have any investment in this Epstein thing?
Clearly, there's more. They would have been released a long time ago.
I have a lot of questions, but I don't know. I guess, I assume they would be releasing the juiciest stuff first to get people's attention, but who knows? I guess there could still be more out there.
I honestly just think putting the list out there would kind of be enough.
Okay, so apparently there's no list of sorts. Some New Yorkers blame the president for holding this back. They say he's connected to this all.
He's the master of spin, so I think he's doing damage control and he's trying to deflect. But we'll see what's in them, so hopefully it'll come out.
Well, they probably figured out something to redact something and,
cover it up.
It's out there now, so I don't know if maybe he's just pushing for it to make it seem like he got nothing to hide.
Now, an anonymous White House official has said there is no actual list of pedophiles who worked with Jeffrey Epstein. But soon, I guess, at some point, we'll get to take a look at this ourselves. 5:04. A disturbing new report says more than 40% of New York City families cannot afford weekly food costs, and that 1 in 3 adults here in the city don't have enough money for food. The Poverty Tracker report is released by the charitable organization Robin Hood and Columbia University. They surveyed about 3,000 households across all different demographic incomes, and what they found is that you have all these people who've been showing up at food pantries across the city over the last 6 months to a year who never thought they would be in this situation.
Bananas, green bananas, fruits, vegetables, prices are ridiculous.
A couple of years back, everything was less expensive, but now the way things are is, forget it, it's out for everybody.
And what these working New Yorkers are saying is that wages are not keeping up with rising food prices. Researchers pointing to food costs in our area increasing by 33% just over the last decade. And that's why New Yorkers who help feed families are seeing this huge surge in demand. Some saying this is bigger than it was during the pandemic.
Even in the early months of the pandemic, when the needs skyrocketed, we are just exponentially above those numbers of the pandemic. So we've never seen anything like this.
Yeah, so this report that came out yesterday, it says more needs to be done, calling for policy action to prevent a further rise in food hardship. The report also encourages people to donate money and time to those in need because these places need your help.
This is not just, an instance of extreme economic deprivation, but rather working people that, are gainfully employed and are still finding that their wages can't keep up with these rising food prices.
We increased our funding to our 10 emergency food providers by 50%. So making sure that those New Yorkers are able to provide millions of additional meals to families.
Yeah, and you talk to these food pantries talking about desperate situations. Almost no matter where you go across the city. It got worse for a couple weeks, of course, with the whole thing with SNAP. But they're asking for more money. In fact, this one food bank says they had 300 to 400 households that they were normally serving, and they say it's spiked to about 800. So they're just having a hard time keeping up with it all.
It's very important because I'm retired, and whatever I get here when I come, it helps. The monthly, bills and everything.
Yeah, so much of it, of course, connected to the rising food costs across the country and, of course, here in New York City. WABC News Time 508, a Jersey City police sergeant, a recent candidate for the state assembly, too, under arrest today, accused of sexually assaulting a minor.
Andrew LeBruno was arrested Monday for the alleged sexual assault that happened in Englewood. Officials say Sergeant LeBruno connected with the juvenile on social media, then went to the kid's home where they say the sexual assault took place while the two were alone. The 44-year-old is in the Bergen County Jail. LeBruno was a Democratic candidate for New Jersey's 39th Assembly District in this month's elections. Andrew Whitman, NBC News Radio, New Jersey.
New York City taking its first steps now to install public e-bike battery swapping stations.
The city's Department of Transportation plans to install battery charging cabinets at 25 locations in neighborhoods with the highest delivery traffic. FDNY Commissioner Robert Tucker says it's part of an effort to prevent lithium-ion battery fires, with each cabinet equipped with fire suppression features, real-time battery health monitoring, and automatic alerts. The DOT will gather feedback on site selection, design, and implementation, with plans to install the first cabinet in 2027. Lisa G., 77 WABC News.
WABC News Time 509. We're watching this overnight. Fights broke out in the streets of Dearborn, Michigan. Started yesterday after counter-protesters greeted some people taking part in what was seen by many as an anti-Muslim rally. Dearborn has just this huge Muslim community. In fact, maybe the biggest in the country, and a few dozen protesters were marching down Michigan Avenue there, claiming Sharia law was being practiced in Dearborn.
The American crusade has begun!
And things got pretty heated when Florida Republican Jake Lang, who's running to fill Secretary of State Marco Rubio's old Senate seat, started marching around. He was carrying the Quran and a package of bacon. A counter-protester stepped in and appeared to punch Lang in the face, but we couldn't get confirmation on
This is
that.
why Dearborn, Michigan needs to be cleared and swiped of Muslims. They don't know how to behave.
Lang was previously charged with assaulting a police officer at the January 6 Capitol riots, was pardoned by President Trump. Of course, there's more information on these protests come in, we'll pass them on to you. Down in Washington yesterday, President Trump met with Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince at the White House. The president says the prince could help bring stability to the Middle East.
I'm very proud of the job he's done. What he's done is incredible in terms of human rights and everything else.
Yesterday's meeting with Prince Mohammed bin Salman comes after President Trump announced plans to move forward with a weapons deal that would allow the kingdom to purchase F-35 stealth fighter jets from the U.S.
I just want to thank you. We've been really good friends for a long period of time. We've always been on the same side of every issue. I think we've done a great job in wiping out the nuclear capacity of Iran. And I want to thank you because you've agreed to invest $600 billion into the United States. And because he's my friend, he might make it $1 trillion, but I'm going to have to work on him.
Now, the president was none too happy when a journalist brought up the subject of murdered journalist Jamal Khashoggi. It came up during a press event with Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince and President Trump at the White House yesterday. The CIA concluded Prince Mohammed bin Salman approved of the murder of Khashoggi at the Saudi consulate in Istanbul back in 2018 because Khashoggi had written several articles that were critical of the prince. The president didn't like the fact that that question was asked while the prince was there, defended the prince.
Things happen, but he knew nothing about it, and we can leave it at that. You don't have to embarrass our guest by asking a question like that.
Now, the prince also spoke questioning the credibility of that CIA report. President Trump taking aim at the reporter who asked the question.
Now, who are you with?
I'm with ABC News, sir.
You're with who?
ABC News, sir.
Fake news. ABC fake news. One of the worst in the business.
About the journalists, it's really painful to hear, anyone that been losing his life for, no real purpose or not in a legal way. And it's been painful for us in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, that's the second voice you're hearing is from MBS. Meanwhile, last night, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos among the guests spotted at the president's dinner in honor of MBS at the White House.
Tonight, I'm pleased to announce that we're taking our military cooperation to even greater heights by formally designating Saudi Arabia as a major non-NATO ally. Saudi Arabia announced that it will invest an incredible $600 billion. That means jobs. It's also good for your companies, but I'm only interested in the jobs for your country. I'm not interested in the profits, but I guess the profits are there too.
WABC News Time 513. Texas Democrats cheering yesterday's redistricting ruling, which prevents newly drawn congressional maps to be used in next year's midterm elections.
One of the district judges in El Paso actually is a Trump appointee.
That's Congressman Lloyd Doggett, but the victory may be short-lived. Texas Governor Greg Abbott vowing to appeal the ruling to the Supreme Court. He says it's erroneous, undermines the authority the U.S. Constitution assigns to the Texas legislature. Congressman Lloyd Doggett says that one of the judges, of course, who made the ruling is a Trump appointee, and of course they'll continue to point to that.
Hopefully the U.S. Supreme Court will promptly affirm the three-judge district court decision.
We'll have to wait and see. 514. Protests breaking out in Raleigh, North Carolina yesterday as U.S. Border Patrol and ICE agents expand their operations in the state.
Custom and Border Patrol agents were heavily armed, masks covering their face, kidnapping 3 men right here in Durham, refusing to show a warrant, refusing to explain anything, and they acted like they were in a war zone.
Now, at the same time, hundreds of demonstrators rallied outside the state capitol in Raleigh, protesting the presence of federal immigration authorities. The Raleigh operation comes after agents made about 130 arrests over the last couple days.
Durham is over 1,300 miles from the border. None of this was about securing our borders. None of it was about enforcing the law. It was a show of force meant to scare people.
Raleigh's mayor confirmed earlier this week that she had been notified that federal agents would be rounding up illegal immigrants and those with outstanding warrants across central North Carolina. In a moment, we'll hear the latest about former Cleveland Browns quarterback Bernie Kosar. Had a liver transplant this week. We'll get into that story and more. But first, 5:15, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. Good morning, Justin Ella.
Good morning to you, Noam Layden. Started on the
hardwood in Brooklyn. The Nets lost as expected to the visiting Boston Celtics. Final score 113-99. Played the Celtics even for about 3 quarters before being smothered defensively in the fourth, registering just 1 bucket for the first 10 minutes of the quarter. Michael Porter Jr. scored 25 points for the Nets, his career best 7th straight game with at least 20. But after his 3-pointer gave Brooklyn a 90-89 lead with just about 9 minutes left, the Nets didn't make another basket until about the 2-minute mark. Day'Ron Sharpe added 16 points for the Nets, who fell to 2-12 overall and 0-7 at home. Up next for Brooklyn, the second half of a home-and-home series against the Celtics come Friday night in Boston. Tonight, the Knicks, they're back in action out in Dallas against the Mavericks. Very winnable game there. That's a 9:30 p.m. tip-off. Head to the ice in Dallas. Bo Horvat scored his 13th goal of the season in the second period before being ejected for high sticking in the third. And the Islanders held on for a 3-2 victory over the Stars. Caleb Ritchie and Kyle Palmieri also scored, and David Rittich made 22 saves for the Isles, who are 5-1 on their 7-game road swing. Ritchie had his first goal, and Palmieri had his first shorthanded goal as members of the Islanders. Up next for them, they'll play at Detroit tomorrow night. In Vegas, the Rangers dropped a tight one 3-2 to the Golden Knights. Johnny Brodzinski and Vincent Trocheck scored for New York. Another would-be goal by Brodzinski in the third was wiped out following a replay review, and center Mika Zibanejad was ruled offside after Vegas coach Bruce Cassidy challenged the play. Trocheck's deflection during a 6-on-5 with 2:43 left cut the margin to 1. Igor Shesterkin made 23 saves for the Rangers, who will visit Colorado up next come tomorrow night. And finally, in Tampa, the Devils got worked by the Lightning. The final score there, 5-1. Nico Hischier scored for New Jersey. Got Dougie Hamilton, Connor Brown, and Evgeny Dadonov back in the lineup. Jacob Markstrom stopped 24 shots for the Devils, who lost in regulation for the first time since November 2nd and a 5-game point streak. Up next for Jersey, they'll be at Florida to face off with the Panthers tomorrow night. That is your Sports Gnome, and I'm Justin Alec on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 519. A loose wire is being blamed for causing the power failure that led to the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapse in Baltimore in March of last year.
During a hearing in Washington, the NTSB said investigators found a wire was improperly installed and later disconnected, cutting propulsion and steering on the cargo ship Dali. A second blackout occurred when a flushing pump being used to supply fuel to generators shut off during the initial outage and wasn't restarted, a practice investigators called inappropriate. 6 workers died when the bridge fell, and the agency says the tragedy was preventable and never should have happened. I'm Rick Hoschel.
From Baltimore over to Cleveland, former Cleveland Browns quarterback Bernie Kosar says he's doing well following his liver transplant this week. Kosar says he's amazed at where he is at this point in his health journey.
Be able to feel good and to feel like I do now compared to what I did even just a few days ago. I just truly feel blessed.
The one-time Pro Bowler was diagnosed with stage 3 liver failure, early stage Parkinson's disease. That was in February of 2024. Placed on the liver transplant list shortly after that. During that time, he moved closer to university hospitals in Cleveland to be ready for surgery at any time. He's improved now from life-threatening health issues through what he says disciplined care and some lifestyle changes.
It's part of fueling my real desire to get better and to give back and to show my appreciation for all the love and support they're showing me right now in my time of need.
Yeah, the Browns legend says he's getting a ton of love and support from Cleveland Brown fans. President Trump claims he's being held back from firing Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell.
The president told reporters, "I'd love to get the guy currently in there out right now, but people are holding me back," as he criticized Powell over the Fed's handling of interest rates. Trump made the remarks calling for Powell's ousting ahead of a meeting with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman today at the White House. Powell's term as Fed chair ends in May, and Trump is expected to announce a nominee before the end of the year. I'm Chris Coraggio.
521, federal investigators investigating finishing their work at the site of that UPS plane crash in Louisville. Louisville Emergency Services Director Jody Myman says evidence from the site is still being collected, though.
While the NTSB has released the site, that doesn't mean that they've released the evidence. And every piece of that aircraft has to be found, collected, and packaged and taken away properly by the contractor that's on site doing that.
A contractor still collecting airplane wreckage, other evidence from the site, a preliminary report from the NTSB expected in about 30 days.
We're not aware of any runoff that went further down Pond Creek. We have not seen any oil show up at sites that are close to the Salt River, or we haven't seen anything at the Ohio River.
And a final report with a probable cause of that crash not expected for at least a year. More than 1,000 pilots picketing Allegiant Airlines nationwide, demanding that management offer a fair contract. Pilot and Teamsters Captain Brad Dugan says though Allegiant is a low-cost airline, it's one of the most profitable airlines in the industry right now.
So unfortunately, instead of investing those profits into a proper pilot contract, they've wasted these profits by building failed resorts on the west coast of Florida, the Sunseeker Resort, as well as investing in foreign airlines.
Allegiant's 1,400 pilots, they fly from a whole bunch of different places. They go to Tampa, Vegas, Orlando, Phoenix, fly out of Newark too.
It's just time for Allegiant Air to start investing in its pilots. They have big growth plans for Fort Lauderdale. We provide a very good service to this community. We bring in about 1 million passengers a year, and that's tourists going on cruise ships. That's people meeting with their friends and family.
Dugan says so far no threat of a strike, but pilots have voted to strike if they don't get their demands. While we're talking airports and travel has returned mostly to normal at the nation's airports now that the FAA has ended its flight reduction order. That was, of course, connected to the government shutdown, just not enough air traffic controllers in the towers. Correspondent Emily Ikeda reports the major airlines now say they're ready for the big Thanksgiving rush.
American says it will operate more than 80,000 flights between this Thursday and December 2nd. Including additional late-night flights to help passengers returning home to American hubs in Phoenix and Chicago. Aviation analytics company Cirium reports Thanksgiving bookings slowed by nearly 5 percentage points this month. AAA even acknowledging their holiday forecast could shift if some air travelers decide to drive instead of fly following recent flight cancellations.
Yeah, in fact, we're seeing that now. People were worried about how long the government shutdown would last. It lasted more than 40 days. People who had lost their flight reservations or people who were planning to fly for Thanksgiving said, you know what, I'm not going to take any chances. I'm going to get into a car. Katie Nastro, she's from the travel website going.com, says people just want to stay away from airports, so be in control of their own destiny.
I think there is a percentage of people that is snake bitten from the impacts of the shutdown and just wants to avoid the chaos of the airport in general.
But when you talk to people at the airports, just over the last 48 hours, a sense of relief that they're not running into a whole lot.
I was really happy that my flight was not last week, but this week.
There just seems to be a sense of calm.
I'm avoiding traveling, staying home, Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Yeah, okay, well, it'll still start to ramp up, of course, this weekend. 524, ultra-processed food like fast food, ready-to-eat meals, and protein bars are now linked to harm in every major organ of the human body.
That's according to the world's largest review of ultra-processed foods and their impact on global health. The study, published in The Lancet, also found that these foods are being aggressively marketed by corporations, skewing scientific debate and working to prevent regulation. In the U.S., more than half of the average diet consists of ultra-processed foods, particularly in poorer areas. I'm Mark Mayfield.
525. This was always one of my favorite days as a reporter. Macy's yesterday holding its studio day in Moonachie in New Jersey. That's where their parade warehouse is. It used to be actually in Hoboken, but now they moved it to Moonachie, and you get to go stand on all the floats and see what's new for this year. Parade producer Will Koss says there are 7 new floats this year, and they'll feature entertainment stars, big Hollywood stars.
We have a variety of performers this year who are going to be on floats, from Debbie Gibson to Foreigner to Jewel, covering a really eclectic wide range. We like to say we've got a little something for everyone.
New floats include the Land of Glaciers, Wildlife and Wonder, Bricktastic, Winter Mountain, and Master Chocolatier Ballroom. I have no idea what any of those are, but I don't have young kids in the house anymore. There's also Stranger Things, I've heard of that, and Pop Mart, which of course is the makers of Labubu. 526, changes are coming to the accessibility of the online gaming platform Roblox.
Under a new requirement, Roblox users who want to chat will soon have to verify their age by providing a government ID or by letting an artificial intelligence age estimation tool photograph their face. The move comes as the platform faces lawsuits claiming it's enabled sexual predators to connect with children after reports of abuse and, in some cases, even kidnappings by adults they met on Roblox. Roblox said the updated policy will make it easier to prevent young users from connecting with adult strangers. I'm Wendy Swanson.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Wednesday, November 19th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Going to see some morning rain. Some of you are seeing snow at this hour. And then sunshine in the afternoon. High 45 tonight and overnight, partly cloudy, low 36, and then Thursday sunshine, high 48. If you're walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are, 38 and cloudy in New Rochelle up in Westchester County, 34 snow showers in Hewlett over in New Jersey, and it's 39 and cloudy right outside our Midtown studios. WABC News Time 5:39, the pain of a mother, Stephanie Garcia. She is the mother of those two boys who were shot in that mass shooting in Newark over the weekend. The two boys were coming back from football practice, the rec center, when they were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. These gunmen fired on a street corner. They happened to be on that street corner. Her 10-year-old boy, Jordan, he died. It's just heartbreaking. And the 11-year-old brother, he's still in the hospital. So you can imagine what this mother and the rest of the family, for that matter, are going through. She's speaking out for the first time. She spoke to Eyewitness News. She said her brother, or rather her son, Jordan, brought her so much joy in her life.
I don't even know what my thoughts are. He's always a happy kid, happy to be around people. I don't even know what my thoughts are.
And she says the family's just, at this point, they're just trying to keep it together as they look after the 11-year-old who's in the hospital and they mourn Jordan.
We're very close. And I'm grateful for them. And I'm also grateful for the community. They always asking for my baby, so my baby come looking for them.
Yeah, I mean, no mother should know that kind of pain. She's got 7 kids altogether, and she says, you know, all the kids are just asking about Jordan.
Jordan, my silly boy, a pure soul, always happy. My son don't get mad. Like, he's always a happy kid, happy to be around people.
Yeah, so yesterday there was a service in memory and honor of those who were involved in the shooting. You know, there was 2 people were killed, 5 others are nursing bullet wounds. So they had a church service at the Basilica of Sacred Heart yesterday where people could sort of talk about their feelings about what took place.
On Saturday night here in Newark, it was an indiscriminate massacre, if you will, one which we have not seen in a long time.
And the head of Newark School says, you know, everybody's thinking about these 2 boys, Jordan, who passed away, his brother, who's still in the hospital.
The heartbreak felt across the Newark Public Schools community and throughout the city of Newark because of the senseless shooting Saturday evening cannot be expressed in words.
Yeah, you just can't grieve enough for that mother. I mean, just heart breaks for her. Police are telling us they might be a little bit closer to finding the gunman. Maybe you've seen the video now. It looks like 3 people are shooting at the street corner. If there is a motive that they know about, they have not shared that with us. They have not made any arrests, but they do say they now have found a car that is connected to that shooting. 5:42, let's bring it here into the city. Zohran Mamdani, the mayor-elect, getting ready to take over. He has to wait, though, for January 1st. It was interesting, his deputy mayor, you know, he picked this 74-year-old guy as his deputy mayor who's been involved in politics for years, Dean Fullahan. Dooney Fullahan sat down with Channel 7 yesterday to talk about why he decided to get back into politics and work for Zohran Mamdani. And one of the things was, he says he was excited about Zohran Mamdani as a candidate. And he said he wanted the challenge of delivering on the promises that the mayor made.
There's nothing that the mayor-elect has put forward that I don't believe in and believe is achievable. It starts with a complete belief that we can actually achieve those things and address this crisis.
Now, Fullahan is the first to tell you that affordability he thinks will be the hardest thing to get done, but he's excited about trying to tackle it.
We have to achieve those policy goals, so you should judge us on that. You should judge us on the daily operation of the city. You should judge us on whether we're protecting New Yorkers.
Fullahan has decades of experience in the Assembly at City Hall. He worked for Mayor de Blasio. He brought universal pre-K to the city's schools. So he thinks universal child care, he thinks they can get that done as well.
We're going to be able to do it working with the governor, with the legislative leaders in both houses to make this happen.
And Mayor Adams, of course, he still has a little more time. He's still in Israel. But yesterday, a federal judge here in New York sentenced Muhammad Bahai, the only member of Mayor Adams' administration convicted in that illegal donation scheme, to 3 years probation, including the first year under home confinement, after the Trump Justice Department forced the same judge to dismiss the criminal case against the mayor himself that involved the same scheme. The sentence is less than prosecutors had sought, but the judge concluded that Bahai was less culpable than his boss was. He also questioned in court the judge yesterday why Mayor Adams was able to get off while this guy was going to have a year of home confinement. 5:44, we were talking about Zohran Mamdani. He took to social media yesterday to ask supporters for donations to help fund his transition team. He says so far his campaign has raised $1 million to cover expenses, but they need $4 million more. So he's asking for that money. That as there's more talk about this meeting that's going to take place between the mayor-elect and President Trump at the White House. He talked a little bit more about this yesterday. Apparently there's no date yet for this meeting.
The president ran a campaign where he spoke about a promise to deliver cheaper groceries, a promise to reduce the cost of living. We are seeing his actions and that of his administration in Washington leading to the exact opposite effect for New Yorkers.
Now, he says he is going to be forceful in this meeting with the president, but he also says they have a lot they can work on together.
And I will go to make the case to the president and to anyone, frankly, that these are the kinds of things we need to change if we want to make it easier for New Yorkers and for Americans.
Now, President Trump, who hit Mamdani hard during the campaign, you may have heard he softened his tone over the weekend when he was talking about this potential meeting with the mayor-elect.
The mayor of New York, I will say, would like to meet with us and we'll work something out. But he would like to come to Washington and meet, and we'll work something out. We want to see everything work out well for New York.
And the mayor-elect says he's going to D.C. to get things done for New Yorkers, so he looks forward to this meeting.
I will make clear that even New Yorkers that I had met over the course of this campaign who had voted for the president, they told me that what they had voted for was a lower cost of living. What they had voted for was cheaper groceries. What they had voted for was a chance at affording the day-to-day of their own lives.
Again, no date for that meeting has been set, or at least they haven't told us what that date is. In a moment, we'll go up to Westchester County, where a woman drove for miles on the train tracks. The only problem was she didn't realize she was on the train tracks. We'll get into that story in just a moment. But first, 5:46, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. And here's Justin Ellick.
Thank you, Noam Maladen. Start on the hardwood in Brooklyn. The Nets lost, as expected, to the visiting Boston Celtics. Final score 113-99. They played the Celtics even for about 3 quarters before being smothered defensively in the fourth, registering just 1 bucket for the first 10 minutes of the quarter. Michael Porter Jr. scored 25 points for the Nets, his career best 7th straight game with at least 20. But after his three-pointer gave Brooklyn a 90-89 lead with 9:08 left on the clock, the Nets didn't make another basket until about the 2-minute mark. Daron Sharp added 16 points for the Nets, who fell to 2-12 overall and 0-7 at home. Up next for Brooklyn, second half of a home-and-home series against the Celtics come Friday night in Boston. Tonight, Knicks back in action out in Dallas. Very winnable game against the Mavericks. That's a 9:30 p.m. tip-off there. Head to our triple-header on the ice last night. Starting in Dallas, Bo Horvat scored his 13th goal of the season in the second period before being ejected for high sticking in the third. And the Islanders held on for a 3-2 victory over the Stars. Calum Ritchie and Kyle Palmieri Palmieri also scored, and David Rittich made 22 saves for the Isles, who are 5-1 in their 7-game road swing. Richie had his first goal, and Palmieri had his first shorthanded goal as members of the Islanders. Up next for them, they'll play at Detroit tomorrow night. In Vegas, the Rangers dropped a tight 1-3-2 to the Golden Knights. Johnny Brodzinski and Vincent Trocheck scored for New York. Another would-be goal by Brodzinski in the third was wiped out following a replay review when center Mika Zibanejad was ruled offside after Vegas coach Bruce Cassidy challenged the play. Trocheck's deflection during a 6-on-5, about 2:43 left, cut the margin to 1. Igor Shesterkin made 23 saves for the Rangers, who will visit Colorado up next come tomorrow night. Finally, in Tampa, the Devils got worked by the Lightning. The final score there, 5-1. Nico Hischier scored for New Jersey, which got Dougie Hamilton, Connor Brown, and Evgeny Dadonov back in the lineup. Jacob Markstrom stopped 24 shots for the Devs, who lost in regulation for the first time since November 2nd to end a 5-game point streak. Up next for Jersey, they'll be at Florida to face off with the Panthers tomorrow night. That is your Sports Noam, and I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:49. Let's go up to Westchester County, where a West Harrison woman is accused of driving on the Metro North train tracks for 2 miles. 2 miles she drove on the tracks. MTA police say 44-year-old Sonia Alvarez Nunez was caught Monday night driving on the Harlem Line tracks. The investigation revealed, you won't be shocked to hear this, that she may have been drunk behind the wheel as she drove for 2 miles from North White Plains to Valhalla. And they say the only reason she stopped in Valhalla was apparently her car became disabled from riding on the tracks.
Who would drive drunk on the tracks?
Yeah.
That's just, I don't know, that's just crazy to me.
Well, you got to wonder, what was she drinking? Police say she failed sobriety tests at the scene. I mean, thank God no train came. She didn't injure anybody on the tracks.
Hope she's okay, but now she's in big trouble.
It's no good. There's serious issues.
Yeah, the arrest was made right near where a Metro North train and an SUV collided. You remember that one in 2015? Unfortunately, that one was deadly. That incident killed 6 people, injured more than a dozen others. While we're in the neck of the woods, around 300 street signs have gone missing in Carmel, New York. Highway Superintendent Mike Stern and the police chief there say the stolen street signs have cost the town, and taxpayers for that matter, about $100,000.
We found that it's mostly kids. It's high school age kids that are doing it as a prank.
And of course, they say these street signs are important because you got like EMTs, firefighters that need to know their way around if they're going to an emergency.
We do have a large volunteer presence in our community with fire and EMS services, and a lot of times they tend to trend younger in age, and they might not be as familiar with the area, so we want to prevent that.
Yeah, what is it? Kids always like to have outdoor signs indoor. I mean, it doesn't matter how old you are. I remember when I was a kid, people would steal signs too. But of course, not funny because it costs the town money, could lead to something really tragic when these emergency responders are responding to a scene. So now they're going to use existing cameras, maybe put up a few more to try to catch these thieves.
Very dangerous, especially for firemen, my God, and new firemen, new policemen.
It's not fair and it's not funny to take a street sign. It's just it's just a shock.
Yeah, not surprised. I mean, I wouldn't call it a shock because that's kind of what kids do. Looks like a New Jersey man going to get probation for secretly videotaping nearly 50 people using restrooms at a pair of businesses.
It's part of a plea deal. Daniel Zhang pleaded guilty to 3 counts of invasion of privacy. In exchange, he'll get 5 years probation plus community service and both mental and psychosexual evaluations. In September 2024, police caught the 23-year-old recording a man in the bathroom of the Planet Fitness in Hamilton. Zhang's phone had 49 similar recordings on it, taken at the gym and a local Wawa. He'll be sentenced in March. Andrew Whitman, NBC News Radio, New Jersey.
You know, a lot of people have been asking me about a story that we aired, was it Monday or last week? I can't even remember anymore. But it was this Williamsburg woman who had been going into restaurants across Brooklyn, sitting down for high-end meals. These were mostly expensive restaurants, eating like tons of food. In the case of one place, she sat at the restaurant at Peter Luger for like 4 or 5 hours. That's what they said, and ate almost everything on the menu. And then when the bill came, she told them she didn't have money to pay for it. She didn't dash. It wasn't dine and dash. She sat there, and then they told her, well, we're going to call the cops. And she said, go ahead. And the cops came and they arrested her. Well, apparently she has done this at 7 other restaurants. And now we're finding out there's more to this story, which apparently is unfortunate for this woman. We know who she is. She's name is Pei Chung. She's 34 years old. And now documents show that she owes about $40,000 in back rent for a luxury building that she lives on Kent Avenue in Brooklyn. The rent there is $3,300 a month, but she hasn't paid it in an awfully long time. Neighbors say she seems a little weird.
When I moved in, there was an overdue rent notice on her door.
Yeah, records show that Chung paid rent fairly consistently, but then all of a sudden dropped off in August of 2024. And that's about the time neighbors also say that she started acting strange. And maybe this is about the same time she tried doing this restaurant thing.
It was like 10 or 11 at night, and I was asleep, and she threw a Roomba vacuum out of her door, and she opens her door and throws the phone out into the hallway.
Yeah, okay, so clearly a troubled woman. The building's management did not respond for requests to comments, but they didn't say that wasn't true, that she hadn't paid rent in a year. New York business leaders are hopeful that there could be help for New York City from President Trump.
City business leaders are optimistic about getting President Trump to drop any plans to send National Guard troops to New York, like he sent to other cities. They're convincing him their presence would hurt business badly here and keep many immigrants from even going to work. President Trump has known New York business leaders for a long time, and the Wall Street Journal reports they have been advising him on how they can help on his economic agenda. Joe Connolly, 77 WABC News.
It is that time of year when tubas from all over the country get together in New York City and play together.
What you're hearing is a bunch of tubas from the yearly Tuba Christmas concert in Rock Center. Every year, tuba players are invited to register and show up and play Christmas songs. Tuba players come in all shapes and sizes, as these enthusiasts explain to CBS News.
All I get is oompa, oompa, oompa.
You always hear it when the elephants are walking along in the circus. Bump, 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 bump.
This year's concert is set to take place on December 14th at 3:30 p.m. at Rock Center. See you there.
Happy New Year.
And then
Lisa G, 77 WABC News.
Didn't mean to step on you there, Lisa. And this weekend, over the weekend, boy, a lot of people sent me this story. So there is a guy who has been selling fried rice out of the trunk of his car here in the city. And apparently this is like the greatest fried rice anybody's ever had. Liz Radabali has more on the story.
It wasn't at a restaurant or even at a food truck. Instead, everyone was lining up, getting food from the back of a local cook's trunk. The dish in question is a Venezuelan Chinese fried rice recipe. Here's one satisfied customer giving a flavor profile to CBS New York.
The onion just gave me a kiss. The garlic just gave me a hug. And the ginger just smiled at me. Wow. Worth the trains, worth the buses I took.
The chef, 22-year-old Johnny Hung, posts on social media ahead of time, letting people know where he'll be as long as supplies last. He does plan on opening a restaurant in Madrid soon and is hoping to open one here in the city as well. I'm Liz Radabali for 77 WABC News.
Fried rice. People going crazy over fried rice. 5:57, traffic, transit on the 7s. Would you, Joe Nolan, line up to eat fried rice out of the back of someone's trunk?
No, but
Okay.
I do like I do like pork fried rice, so that's my favorite.
Oh, kidding you? And you put a little like sesame chicken on top of that? There's nothing better. Yeah.
Here we go.
Thanks for listening to the News Hour with Noam Laden. You can hear the News Hour with Noam Laden weekday mornings at 5 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?